Hola.
¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están todos? ¿Están bien? ¿Están bien? Bueno, okay. Fantastico. I am going to lead up because otherwise, if I get too far in, I'm going to forget to say this. Next week, Monday, at 8 o'clock. So that's what, the 27th. Sí, el 27, the 27th, next week, Monday, is the first day for registration for spring classes. Y para que sepan, so you know, some people ask, like, if you finish this course we're in right now, and if you want to do more, what do you do? And the next segment class I have, which is a step up, is called Spanish for Beginners. Step 2, you guys are step 1, but step 2 is generally the class where people from this class move into. There are people at all different levels in that step 2 course. It runs on Monday morning, same time as this one. So right now you're in the Tuesday, 9:30 start. The next class up starts Mondays. It's always held on Mondays at 9:30, same time period, para que sepan, so you know. And if you have any other questions, email me privately and we're good with that. Okay, bien, vamos a comenzar. Vamos a practicar muchísimo con números. We're going to practice a lot with numbers today. And numbers are absolutely a survival skill. So it's something that it's essential that you can understand. And your most important, once more, your most important skill to take away from this class is to recognize numbers out of sequence. So when somebody throws something at you, which is likely to be like a room number in a hotel or a price, that's super likely. How much something costs or how far away something is. If you're driving and looking for directions, or flight numbers, you know, things like that. When somebody says a number, that number pops into your head, you understand it from hearing it. You understand it as a digit. The digit pops into your head when you hear the number. That's really the most important goal. So, okay, a ver. We're going to start off with some practice. Oh, and I need to enlarge my screen a little bit so that you guys can see it better. Okay. I'm going to send you into some smaller rooms. Oh, I don't have even twosies. One of you will have one of your groups will be a group of 3, one will be a group of 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the phone numbers. We're going to start with single digits, you know, 1 through 10 digits. And I will send this into the Zoom room with you so that you don't have to say, oh, shoot, I don't have this on my computer right away. If you don't have the file handy, no big deal. What I want you to do is take a few minutes. You're only going to be in the Zoom room between 3 and 5 minutes, okay? But I want you to take turns with a partner reading phone numbers off, okay? So taking these phone numbers as if they were single-digit numbers. So in other words, you wouldn't say 527. You know, you're going to say 527 3777. Okay, I want you to practice saying those in Spanish to each other. Just take some turns with that. Coach each other. So if somebody doesn't say the number properly, gently and politely coach each other, which I know you will do. And I will send those into the room with you. We're going to do 2 sessions of that and then come back for some harder stuff. Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any kind of little question before I send you off to do that for about between 3 and 5 minutes? Because it probably isn't going to take very long. No? Nada? Okay. Vale. Muy bien. One of you will have a group of 3. One group of you will have a group of 2. And you need to hit your join button now. And I am working to get the share screen with the numbers into your rooms. Uy, a ver, and I need to get my... Need to pull up my timer. Okay. Set it for about 4 minutes. By the time I shut that off, people should be about ready to come on back. Remembering the numbers out of sequence is the hardest thing to do. Okay, we're getting close to column back time. Muy bien. Vamos a ver. Okay. ¿Y cómo fue? How was it? Did that go pretty well? Pretty smoothly? Bien?
Yeah.
Bien? Okay. Bueno, uno más. One more. We're going to do that second slide.
Just one question.
Sí, Jay, dime.
I forgot what zero is.
Oh, okay. Cero.
Zero.
And it's spelled C-E-R-O, but it's pronounced kind of like zero, but without the Z. Instead of a Z, it's C. Cero.
Okay.
Cero. Yeah. Sí. Eso es. Okay. Muy bien. A ver, and actually the cero is less useful for you than the other. Yeah, the 1 through 10 are a bigger deal. And again, these 1 through 10 numbers get recycled in all the bigger numbers, which we're going to do soon. So if you know the 1 through 10, all you do is you're slapping those onto a bigger number to say bigger numbers and to understand bigger numbers. So that's why we try to drill this a little bit separately. Make sure that you know the numbers, no matter if they come out of order or whatever. Okay, same thing. Was that enough time or do you need a little more time? Suficiente. Okay, vale, muy bien. I'll send you in with the next group of numbers. So you're going to go back on out and practice a little more. And once you hit your join button, I'll be able to put the share screen on with that new set of numbers. And start my stopwatch one more time. Una vez más. Okay. Okay, 2 minutos. Menos que un minuto. We got about 1 more minute left. Okay, we're going to bring folks back now. Bien, bien. Okay. Aquí vienen todos. We get everybody coming back. Espero. I hope. Okay. Bien. Muy bien. A ver. Fantástico. Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question?
Nope.
No? Okay. We're going to do a little quick count. I'm going to share screen now all together, todos juntos. And then we're going to do, after the quick count, we're going to go into double digit, but the low double digits. Okay. After we do our little quick count, you're going to count things on the screen. You're going to need any old piece of paper, can be junk paper, and something to write with. We're going to do a quick, after we're done with our pictures, quick, what we call dictado, dictation. And all that's going to be is me dictating. I'm going to say numbers and you'll write the digits. You're not going to write them out as words, but you'll see how that goes later. That's, again, just to kind of test, do a quick impromptu test of your listening comprehension. Pero primero, first. Primero, ustedes van a contar. You guys are going to count. Woo! And we're going to pair in with numbers. We're going to pair. Wait, I got to move this. It's a little bit. Yeah. We're going to pair numbers with that wonderful verb that never changes, which is I. There are I. Okay, and we won't drag it out. I. H-A-Y, H-A-I-Y, H-A-Y is I. There is, there are. And because there's more than one, it can't be there is. These are going to be there are. I, bombones. Bombones son candies. Sweets, goodies, yummies made out of chocolate and sugar and all that stuff. Okay. ¿Cuántos bombones hay? How many candies are there? ¿Cuántos hay? Can somebody count those out and tell me? ¿Cuántos hay?
16.
16. ¿Cómo se dice 16? I, we're going to say I and the number.
Hay 16.
Hay 16 bombones. Hay 16. 16 is a hard number. Es un número difícil. 16 because it's got those diphthongs, the I-E and the E-I, and they switch. Yeah, so it's 16. We've got the adding, the math problem kind of numbers. 10 and 6 is how they say 16. Yeah. Okay, so 16. When you say it slowly, 10, y, and 6. But when they say it all together, it will sound like 16. 16. Okay. ¿Cuántas pelotas hay? How many little ping pong balls are there? ¿Cuántas pelotas hay?
Diez y ocho.
18. Now let's make a whole sentence. We're going to say there are 18.
Hay 18.
Perfecto. Hay 18. There are 18. Hay 18. Fantástico. ¿Cuántas galletas hay? Galletas son cookies. ¿Cuántas galletas hay? Tengo que contar. I've got to count too.
Hay 20.
Perfecto. Hay 20. 20. Think of the vein in your arm. That is the sound, the starting of the sound for the word 20. 20. Hay 20. There are 20. Or hay 20 galletas. Hay 20 galletas. Okay. Bien. Perfecto. Okay. Uy. Y aquí, here, ornamentos, I'm going to change it to a shorter word, adornos, which means the same thing. ¿Cuántos adornos hay? How many ornaments are there? ¿Cuántos adornos hay?
Hay 11.
Hay 11. Perfecto. Muy bien. Hay 11 adornos. Hay 11. There are 11. Oh, or you can say hay 11 adornos. There are 11 ornaments. Perfecto. Naranjas. Oranges. ¿Cuántas naranjas hay? ¿Cuántas naranjas hay?
Hay 50 naranjas. No.
50 would be 50.
Ooh, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Son muchas, that's a lot. So let's try that again. But you're in the ballpark because you're thinking a 5-ish number, right? And there's a 5. There's a digit 5 hidden in that, right? Yeah, but just, different order.
Hay 15.
You would think it's 15. Now, that's logical. Even though it's wrong, it's logical. And
Okay,
now,
I'll stop guessing.
hey, what if you made that mistake? Would somebody know what you meant? They probably would. They would say in their Spanish-speaking mind, that sounds odd, but they would know what principle you were applying. Okay, so ¿cuántas naranjas hay?
15.
15. Yeah, okay. So the 15 word goes to the keen number, 15, right? The se at the end, think of it as teen, 16, 17, 18. The se at the end is kind of like what we use with the teen. 15, 14, 13, 12, it's kind of like that. And the keen, it's a Latin thingy. Yeah, why doesn't it do 15? Why doesn't it say 15? I don't know why it doesn't do that, but it doesn't. So, and now notice it's cuántas naranjas hay, how many oranges, and the how many word goes into a feminine form to talk about a feminine thing, oranges. Fíjense, notice that. But notice if you hear the question for adornos, it becomes ¿cuántos adornos hay? How many? And look for adornos, which is a masculine thing, that how many word changes to a masculine word. Just notice that. Don't put pressure on yourself to, I got to get it perfect every time. But that cuántos, how many word, can become cuántas, a feminine how many word. Bien. Okay. Vale. Okay. Y aquí tenemos globos. Here we've got balloons. Globos son balloons. ¿Cuántos globos hay? ¿Cuántos globos hay? And these little dotted things son globos. Those are those are balloons too. ¿Cuántos globos hay? Difícil. This is a hard one.
Hay 18.
18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfecto. Sí, 18. Hay 18. There are 18. Hay 18. Bien, bien, perfecto. Okay. Vale. Bueno, so let's take a look. We're gonna take a look first at well, wait, no, perdón, momento. We're going to do our dictado first. We're going to do our quickie dictation. So get any old scrap paper to write with, any old pen, pencil, marker, no importa, doesn't matter. Anything to write with. So now your goal, and we're only going to go up to, with this dictado, this particular dictation, we're only going to take numbers in the 1 to 20 range. Okay. We're not going to go higher than 20. And this is just to do a quick check on yourself. When I say the number, I'm just going to say the number in Spanish, and I'm going to say it 3 times, because sometimes it takes us that long to process it. It does, because you're beginners. Es normal. It's normal. You're going to hear the number said 3 times. Write it down as a digit. Please don't write out great big words. Nobody writes out numbers as great big words unless you're learning to pronounce the word. So we'll see how many you get right. I'll show you the screen at the end of our little drill. Okay. Vale. ¿Listos? Ready? ¿Sí? Okay. 5. 5. Just write the digit. 5. Número 2, number 2. 10. 10. 10. Número 3, number 3. 18. 18. 18. Siguiente, next one is 4. 4. 4. Siguiente, next one, 7. 7. 7. 7. Okay, siguiente. Next one. 13. 13. 13. Siguiente. Next one. 11. 11. 11. Siguiente, next one. 20. 20. 20. Ok, siguiente. 14. 14. 14. Y uno más. We've got one more after this. After 14, we have one more. And the last one. El último número, the last number. 15. 15. 15. Okay, I'm going to show you what they are. Compare it. See, your goal is to get 7 out of 10 right, to have 7 digits correct out of 10. That's our goal when we hear the numbers, because you as a traveler are going to hear numbers more than you're actually going to say numbers. Not to say it's not important to, you should know how to say the numbers, but the most important skill you will carry out of this is you hear a number, you know what it is. Because if they give you an address, you know what it is. If they give you the number of the bus line you need, you know what it is. If they give you the flight number, you know where to go. all that. ¿Sí? Bien? Vale, ¿sí? 5, 10, 18, 4, 7, 13, 11, 20, 14, 15. Vale, perfecto. Ok. Easy one, ¿sí? Bien? Bien? Ok. Fantástico. What we're going to do next is we're going to take a look at, again, some of our 20 numbers and what they do and why they do that. And you know what? I might not even know the why they do that. Just do you care why they do that? Maybe not. Maybe you do. Okay. The 22 through 30s are kind of a big deal. We're going to look at this next chunk next of the double digit numbers. We're going to really focus on double digits now and knowing how they hang together and recognizing them, a lot of practice with them, knowing how to recognize them for pricing in particular. The 20 through 30 chunk, they're particularly important when we are telling time, oddly enough, which I'll kind of, we're not going to get perfectly into telling time. I will send you a little video to watch this week about how people tell time in Spanish, but you hear the 1 through 30s a lot with time because people will say 1:30, 1:28, it's 1:25. Your bus leaves at 7:20. Bus leaves at 7:20. It's 10 minutes to 8, whatever, lo que sea. So these numbers in particular, you'll hear, of course, for prices or addresses or anything else, but also they're particularly used in time telling. And the double digits we're going to step into first are the 20s and 30s, and then I'll show you what that looks like with time, but we'll take a look. And this math thing is going to go back into, come back into the picture. Numbers as kind of math problems. Yeah. That's going to be a thing. It's going to happen. So it's, you should think of them as I got to get my correct keyboard on here so I can get a plus sign up. 20 plus 8. Yeah. You're going to hear 28 as 20 plus 8, essentially, because it's going to be 20 and 8, right? But oddly enough, this little word Y, the little letter Y by itself means and. All by itself. If it stands alone, that letter Y, it means it's a word, and the word is and. Okay, so think of it as the plus in there, right? But sometimes, especially in the teens and in the 20s, that I, the letter I will sub in for the whole word E, spelled as the letter Y. Okay, so that will happen. Instead of writing it out, if we were to write it out, which I don't encourage you to do, instead of writing it as the letter Y, it'll like sub out into this letter I. Once you get into the 30s and up as separate numbers, they come as separate words then. That's just the way it is. So, okay. So as the 20s, they are 21, 20 and 1, 22, 20 and 2, 23, 20 and 3. And notice that the they're kind of disappeared when they write it out, because what happens is, in point of fact, because people say these numbers so quickly, that stuff all starts to mush together with the 20s. That's just the way it is. So that at the end of 20 kind of disappears and it blends into this E sound. Just in the 20s. That won't happen 30s, 40s, or 50s. No. Just in the 20s. Okay. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay, bien. And you can see how those 1 through 9, or you could call it 1 through 10, but 1 through 9 practically, they recycle. We recycle and we reuse them and reuse them as we get to the higher numbers. Okay, that's the way it goes. So we've got our 20s, yeah? 20. If we've got, once we get up into the 30 column, 30 becomes a new number, 30. And notice here, 30 still has that little core starter of the tres, the 3 number. It's got that little core from tres, yeah? And we just string it out into a longer word, right? 30 and 31, it becomes 30 and 1. 30 and 2. So, okay, they sound like this. 31, but it will still sound faster to you because they will slide all those words together. 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Okay. And that's how our 30s go. I'm going to see if I can pull up my... Uy, ¿dónde está? Let's see if I can pull up my time page. ¿Dónde fue? Where'd it go? Okay, aquí está. Here it is. Just so you know, I'll send a video off for you to get comfy with these. These 1 through 30 range are going to be really, really common with telling time. And we're not going to spend a lot of time right now on telling time, except for you to kind of know why we need these numbers and why you're going to hear them over and over again. And what happens, okay? The question for asking about what time is it is ¿qué hora es? What hour is it? Yeah, that's the way they ask. They don't ask what is the time. They ask what hour is it? ¿Qué hora es? Sometimes you'll hear that as ¿qué horas son? But usually ¿qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? And we're going to have either es or son in all of these numbers. And they're going to say, you're going to hear higher percentage of the time that verb son, meaning I know they are, yeah, with the hour and the minutes. So let me just show you how you will hear these numbers. Son las 4. They are the 4. That word las there doesn't mean the. That word stands in for hours. They're 4 hours. Son las 4. And because horas, hours, is a feminine word, the sequence of words we hang together to tell what time it is are son las, and then the hour. Son las, and then the hour. Son las 4. And if we have minutes hanging on at the end, we add an y with the number of minutes. So, son las 4:05. It's 5 minutes after 4 o'clock. Literally, they are 4 hours and 5. And they don't say the word minutes. It's just implied that we're talking about minutes with that last number. Son las 4:05. 4:10 would be son las 4:10. Son las and the hour. Son las and the hour. 4 o'clock is 4. Son las 4:10. You may hear something like 4:15 expressed as son las 4:15, a quarter of an hour. Son las 4:15. You can equally just as correctly say son las 4:15 because that's 15 minutes, a quarter of an hour. Son las 4:15 is the same thing. Totally understandable. Son las 4:20. It's 4:20. You see how we're recycling these numbers. Son las 4:25. Yeah. And then for the half hour, quite often we get the word media, which means literally a half. So you may hear the 30 number for time as son las 4:30, half, 4 hours and a half of an hour, or son las 4:30. You may hear son las 4:30, 4:30. Okay. You may hear it either way. So just so you know, when we're talking about telling time, you'll hear these 20 and 30 numbers pop up a lot for telling time. And I'll send you a little more expansive thing in the form of a video so that you, again, it's good because you'll hear the numbers once again, but in the context of talking about hours and minutes in the day. Okay. Bien.
On that last spread, PowerPoint slide,
Sí.
was
mean-
there the next one that you didn't say, was it it says 4:25, I think, is that 4:35?
Oh, 43. Yes. Okay. So without complicating things too much, how people tell time might depend on how old they are. Because I guarantee you, people under 20 are digital thinkers. It is that way with English-speaking kids. It is that way with Spanish-speaking kids, because a lot of people are used to, digital clocks nowadays. They will sometimes say 4:35 as 4:35. Son las 4:35 and 35. They'll sometimes say it as the next hour coming up, which would be 5 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock minus the number of minutes. So there are two ways you may hear time. 4:35 might be 25 minutes till 5 o'clock, in which case we say it as son las 5 o'clock, minus 25, minus 25. Or somebody may choose to say it because they're thinking very digitally. It's 4:35. Son las 4:35. You may hear either expression for that time. And basically what happens is if you divide the clock, I'm going to show you, this is the down and dirty. If you divide the clock into, whoa, there, better. If you divide it in half and you're thinking first 30 minutes versus last 30 minutes, yeah. Somebody may say, and let's get something. Let's say I want to say that it's 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes to 3, right? That may be expressed as son las 3. It's 3 o'clock because it's coming up to 3. Son las 3 minus 10. They may. But millennial people are probably going to say, I look at my watch and I see this as son las 2:50. It's 2:50. You may hear either expression there. The last half hour of the hour may be expressed as literally digitally, that number of minutes as you see them on a digital watch, okay, like that. Or they may divide the clock and use and for the first 30 minutes and menos for the last 30 minutes of the hour. It can go either way. It really depends on who you're talking to. The younger the person, they're just going to say 2:40 or 2:50 instead of 10 minutes to 3. Honestly, that's the way it goes. So I'll send you that little file so you can see it. I'll send you a video so you can see that. Okay, bien? Does that answer your general question? See, bien? Yeah, that's where, there's some wiggle room. There just is some wiggle room. It depends on who you're talking to, how they're going to express the time. But we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at some numbers over 30. So you can see how these divvy up. Okay. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. No. Okay. Bien. Now, if we're moving up the scale to double-digit numbers, we're working our way up to the 100 marker, right? These are going to be like the equivalent of our 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Yeah. And we have T at the end. 90, 80, 70. Okay. The vague equivalent for that T in Spanish is going to be an enta, E-N-T-A. It's going to be a little suffix. Like we have ty as a suffix, 4T, 50. Yeah. They've got enta. And you're going to hear kind of a morphing of the 1 through 10 number with the enta at the end. There are going to be little glitches in the middle sometimes, some little changes. It won't be, strictly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but it's going to be pretty darn close. So our 40 through our we're looking now at our 40. Our 40 through 90 are, instead of cuatro, C-U-A-T-R-O, cuatro, it's 40. Yeah, 40. So the way we say 42, 43, 44, if you look at the right hand of the scale, and I'm going to send you this whole file so you can check it out on your own and save it in your computer if you like, is still adding on the E and the smaller number. Okay? The last place number. So 41, 42, 43, all of that. Bien? Uy. A ver. And they're trying to call me. It's probably a garbage call. Please ignore my phone. Perdón. Sorry about that. 50 will build on that word cinco. Cinco, okay? But we're going to cut the O off the end of cinco, and we've got a 50. 50. 50. So our 54, for example, would be 54. Our 58 would be 58. Así, like that, right? We just add the E and the last digit on to the end. We're going to take the number 6. We get rid of the I out of 6, and we slap on the enta on the end, and we get 60. 60. And then adding on another place number would be 61, 62, 63. Okay. Now, 60 and 70, there's a really fine line. I want you to hear the difference because it's minor. The only difference between these two numbers is one letter. 60 is 60. But if I change the middle S into a T, that is the T we drag out of siete. All right. And just like we dropped from seis, we dropped the I to get to 60. Siete, we also drop the I and we get to 70. But there's only one letter difference between 60, and 70. Okay, so that's hard on the listening end. 60, 60, 70. 70. But again, 71, 72, 73. Okay, working up to the next number, higher numbers is easy. The next one is one that nobody ever gets wrong. We work from ocho. Ocho is 8, ocho, but we slap on, we get rid of the o at the end of ocho, and we slap on the enta. 80, 80. Everybody has a really easy time recognizing 80. 80, 80, 81, 82, 83, etc. Okay. 90, 90. Nueve. Nueve, you have N-U-E and nueve, and that U-E is going to condense down into a shorter sound, which is the shorter sound of O. O. So instead of ue from nueve, it's O. 90. 90, 90, 90. 91, 92, 93, así, like that. Okay? Fácil. So our 30, 40, 50, 60, all borrow from those 1 through 9 numbers, but we've got these nice little suffixes of enta at the end, like we have 4T, 50 in English. Okay? So, vamos a ver, let's see. Let's see if you can say, not write out, I know here they write them out, but let's see if you can say some of these numbers. They give us one example. 47, 47. And to do this, you'll have to take yourselves off of mute, or can somebody give me, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say, ¿cómo se dice 76? And you can cheat and look at the chart above.
60.
And make sure you get a nice T in the middle of that. 70.
76.
Y 6. Perfecto. 76. And 70, that T is important because 60 would be 60, yeah? 76. Let's see if somebody can give a shot at 92. ¿Cómo se dice 92?
92.
92. 92. 92. Bien. ¿Cómo se dice? How do you say? ¿Cómo se dice 48?
48.
48. 48. 48. Okay. Now I say it slowly for you. 48. In reality, no, you need to slow people down when they're talking at you. Somebody go, oh, 48. 48 sounds way faster, yeah, than 48. 48 is literally how you will hear most people say that. So sometimes you need to ask somebody, repita por favor, repeat please, repita por favor, 48. Okay, and they'll say it slower for you. ¿Cómo se dice 55? 55.
55.
55. 55. 55. 55. 55. Okay? 55. ¿Cómo se dice 81?
81.
81. 81. 81. Bien. 81. Muy bien. Muy bien. Ok. ¿Cómo se dice 54?
54.
Perfecto. 54. 54. Somebody says it fast to you in a marketplace, it's going to come out as 54. But you can slow it down now because you're learning it. 54. 54. Okay. And I encourage you not to try to say it at native speed because you need to hear those sounds and get used to them a lot before you say it fast. Right? 54. And if you say it slower, you are perfecting the sounds so that you say them correctly. 69. ¿Cómo se dice 69? 60. There's our 60. 60.
69.
Y 9, right? We just slap on our ending of y 9. Y 9. 60. And there's the hard part. You have to have two S's. 60. 69. 69. Okay. Vale. Bueno, let's take a look at 44. 44. We need 40 and 4. 44. 44. 44. Bien. A ver. Okay, let's take a look at cómo se dice 93.
93.
93. 93. 93. 93. 88. ¿Cómo se dice 88?
80 y
80. 88. 88. 88. Bien. ¿Cómo se dice 41?
41.
41. 41. 41. Ok, bien. ¿Cómo se dice 67? 60 y 7. Y 7. 60. We got to get the two S's there. 60 y 7. 67. Bien. Ok, vale. 73. ¿Cómo se dice 73? And here you have to have an S and a T. An S and a T.
73.
73. 73. 73. Perfecto. Perfecto. Okay. La semana que viene, I'm going to send you this thing. What I want you to do is I want you to go, I'm going to send you off into little smaller groups like we did today, next week. And you guys are going to practice the lower half of this page, the bottom segment where it says number 2. And I don't want people writing stuff out, but I do want you to practice this ahead of time because it will help you. Okay. And I will kind of show you in the email how it will sound. I don't want you to actually say the math problem. Okay. If you were kids in a classroom and I saw you 5 days a week, we probably would do that. But what I will want you to do is to say each number that you see there and then the answer of that math problem. So in other words, I want you to be able to come in next week in a smaller group setting and use and be able to say 20, 20, 30, 30, and then say the answer to that, which is 50. Yeah. Don't worry about knowing how to say plus or minus or equals or any of that stuff. Just the two numbers and then the answer number of that math problem. Yeah. That makes sense? See? Makes sense? See? Bien. So that you practice those a lot. Okay. We're going to take a little bit of time to do something a little different. We're going to look at prices because prices are...
I had a question.
Sí, dime. Please tell me.
For 70, that second T almost sounds like you're saying a D sound. Are they both the...
Well, okay. 70, okay. That's a good question. It's a valid question because, in fact, my T's, I'm trying to say the 70 very clearly so that you get the difference between the T and the S. like because 60 is very close in how it sounds to 70. But in fact, when you hear numbers, the letter T in Spanish is way softer pedal than it is in English. So in English, it's that puff of air thing. Yeah. Tiny Tim is a famous, Tiny Tim. I have 50 tin cans. You feel a puff of air with that letter T in English. In Spanish.
Yeah.
So when you hear me saying it, I roll back into the soft T. So really, there's no puff of air. 70, as it really sounds, 70. You hear the T, but there's no puff of air. And the D is the same way. No puff of air.
Oh.
Right? So they all sound like that. Consonants sound very muffled in Spanish. There's no puff of air. The B's have very little puff of air. The D's have very little puff of air. The T's have little. Even the P's, the letter P, it sounds the same, but it's very muffled. That we have explosive consonants in English, meaning there's a puff of air. And in Spanish, that's not. So when you hear it, it may sound like, what letter was that? That's a normal reaction. But just know consonant sounds are much, much softer in Spanish.
Thank you.
And the more you get, and in Mexican version, even softer. It'll be a little more clipped in Spanish, Iberian, compared to much of Latin America and Mexican way of pronouncing. They just really soft pedal that. It's something that you just have to get used to. Okay. Bien. I want to do a little more of playing around with some numbers. All together, todos juntos, because here's a realistic application. Oh, if you're looking at prices, well, you're going to hear prices, right? You're going to hear people say prices. So I'm going to do the cents part here so you hear it. $4.97 per pound. Yeah. If you hear $4.97, they're probably just going to say that as either 4.97 for with, that word con means with, 4.97, or they may just say it in an even shorter way of 4.97, 4.97, like we do in English. 4.97, 4.97. Everybody knows the 97 is the smaller monetary unit. Yeah, like cents, right? ¿Cómo se dice 87 cents? If somebody just wanted to say 87, ¿cómo se dice? Arándanos, blueberries. ¿Cuánto cuestan? How much do they cost?
87.
Y 7.
Y 7.
Y 7, 87, 87. Si hablamos aquí de legumbres, if we're talking about these veggies here, ¿cómo se dice 97?
97.
97, 97. Okay? 97. Okay, let's say somebody wants to say, oh, these sí. ¿Cuánto cuestan? 177. Uno?
70.
70 y
Okay.
7.
50.
7. 1,77. Bien. Perfecto. Ok. Vale. Unos más. Some other ones. Ah, precios. Prices. Ooh, 577. We'll just say the 5 and then we'll say 77.
Cinco, 77.
Y 7. 5,77. Or you might hear it as 5 con, maybe. 5 con 77, right? Depends on the region you're in. People do different things. Okay. ¿Cómo se dice? 67 cents a pound. Aquí un pollo. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost?
67.
67. 67. Perfecto. ¿Cómo se dice 3.99? Langosta, 3.99.
3
3.
con 99.
Perfecto. 3,99. Or we may drop the word con and just say 3.99. 3.99. Perfecto. Bien. ¿Cómo se dice 2.97?
Dos 97.
2.97. 2.97. 2.97 o 2,97. Depends on which region you're in. Okay. Cerveza. Beer. 11.88. Wow, que ganga. What a deal that is. 11.88. ¿Cómo se dice?
11.88.
Excelente. 11.88. 11.88. Perfecto. Muy bien. Okay. So taking a look at prices, when you hear prices and when people say prices, that's how you'll hear them. I want to take one step up. Uy, ¿dónde está? Lo perdí. I lost my page. I've got to find it. I'm going to send you one more number page. We are going to take a look at our hundreds numbers because the 100 is an easy word to add on. The 100 word. ¿Dónde está? Aquí. Here it is. I will show it to you on our share screen and you will get this in the email. Okay. We're going to add on just one extra number, and that is the word 100. 100 is going to sound a lot like the word century for that many years, because that's what English borrowed that from, okay, from the old Latin word. If the word 100 is just plain 100, exactly that number 100, it is a shorty form. And the shorty form is 100. 100. Okay. But I can only use that shorty word for 100. Anything higher than that, from 101 to 199, becomes a longer word. And the longer word is I add a to on the end of 100. Okay. Ciento. Okay, so ciento. So we're going to take a look at what happens with 100 numbers, because we're going to combine the 100 numbers with the double-digit numbers, and you're going to see some of these. And we'll play around with the blanks in here next week. Okay, so I will send this to you and you can kind of prep it and practice saying the blank numbers. But we're going to look at the filled in numbers so you can see what the hundreds and up are going to sound like. Okay, and they'll be, I'm going to take them in order here, only the ones where we have the words written out. 100, 101, 102, 103. You guys are going to practice the blanks in between. Let's take a look at what happens when we get a little higher. 120 isn't said as 1 and 20. It's said as 120. 120, 120, right? 121 will become 121. And notice our E only comes at when we have something higher than 0 as the very last number. The very last number. So it's not 121. The E only comes at the very, very end, right? 121. Here's our E sound. 121, 122, 122. Ooh, we'll see if you can do some of the higher ones there, because again, that recycles your double-digit numbers. 130. 130, we have no word E at all in there. 130, 130, okay? But now I'm going to have an E come in because I've got a digit higher than 0 in my last number place, okay? We've got a 131, so 131. 131. We're just adding the ciento concept onto this. 140, 140, right? 141, 141, right? 150, 150. But now I'm going to have an E come in because I've got a digit higher than 0 in the very last number place here. 152. 152. Okay. Next, I've got 160, 160, 160, perdón. 161, 161, 161. Okay. Moving up to 170, 170, 170. But 177 will become 177. 177. Bien. 180, 180, 180. And then we're going to do just one more so you'll hear what it sounds like. 190, 190. Okay. And I'll send you this page so that you've got this chart. Next week, just like we had the addition problems in the lower numbers, here I'm going to want you to take a look at the whole chart and say the chart numbers where we have blanks. The chart numbers where we have blanks, okay? So that you're practicing the double digits and then the 100 added into the double digits. That makes sense? See? Bien? Okay. Perfecto. Bien. So a lot of numbers work. We'll do another dictation next week with double digit numbers. So there'll be numbers like 58, 47, 32. Okay. They'll be up to 100. We're going to do another dictation with that. So prep a lot of the numbers because numbers really, really are survival skills. I'll send you all those number files in the email so that you've got them. I want to move on to something else you have seen a little bit in your book here and there, and we're going to switch gears a little bit. Actually, I'll ask before we leave this. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Any question about that number thing before we leave that? No, okay. I want to get in a little bit into this idea of not numbers, but descriptions. Descriptions that aren't about amounts, descriptions that are adjectives, words that tell you what something looks like or sounds like or feels like. Description words are called adjectives. And whereas in English, we would say, you go to a car show. Yeah. And you say, wow, There are 5 red cars. 5 red cars. In Spanish, literally, they'll be saying 5 reds cars, reds. Any description like red that paints a picture in your head, it's got to look at the noun it's talking about and go into the same form as the noun it's talking about. Meaning, adjectives, descriptive words, will go into a gender, masculine and feminine form, and a number, masculine and feminine form, like meaning singular or plural. But it's gonna be like a puzzle piece. It's gonna have to fit or agree with or be in the same form as the thing, the noun it's talking about. This is a totally weirdo concept in English. We don't do this in English at all. We don't. But we're going to show you with our initial vehicle, our initial way of practicing is going to be using colors. So we're going to introduce this concept of gender and number with a color page. And this is a particularly good video because I'm going to send you the link for this video because it's worth watching a second time because your brain needs that time to process. It just does. You know, you think you're going to hear this once and now you've got it. Well, yay, you're a Mensa person. You got it. Congratulations for being in the genius category of people. Most people need a lot of time to process this, and you need to hear it several times. But we're going to show you adjectives go into masculine, feminine form, but some adjectives get more forms than others. So I'm going to play this for you and kind of explain it along the way. Okay, so I want you to watch. She's going to have colors. Wow, is this at the beginning? This doesn't, oh, it is at the beginning. Okay.
Los colores.
We're going to show you how these color words change.
Azul,
Azul, blue,
verde,
verde, green,
marrón,
marrón, brown,
anaranjado,
anaranjado, orange,
amarillo,
amarillo, yellow,
rojo,
rojo, red,
rosado,
rosado, pink,
morado,
morado, purple,
negro,
negro, black,
gris,
gris, gray,
blanco.
blanco, white. I want you to notice something because she does something particularly good in this video. And that is she's going to segment these off. All of the colors that end in all the colors where the last letter of the color word is an they're going to go in one category. And all of the color words that don't end in will go into a different category. And that's for a very important reason. Adjectives that end in need to go into straight up a masculine and a feminine form. And then they may also get a plural. But adjectives that don't end in use the same word for masculine and feminine, and you just need to know how to make them plural. So she's going to segregate these off into adjectives that end in and what happens with them. So that'll be descriptive words, adjectives that end in and how they change form, and adjectives that don't end in and how their form will change. They're going to be 2 different patterns.
Trucos.
Tricks.
Truco
Trucos.
número 1. Atención al plural.
And she's just going to work on plurals. How they become plural.
Azules,
Azules. I don't worry about masculine and feminine. I just slap on an ES. Azules.
verdes,
Verdes. I don't worry about masculine or feminine. I just slap on an S to make it plural.
marrones,
Marrones. N is a consonant, so to make it plural, I just slap on an ES. Notice in all of these don't end in O. None of these end in O. So I don't have to worry about masculine or feminine. I just make it plural. But now, with the O endings, well, for now, it's just slap on an S.
Anaranjados.
Anaranjados,
Amarillos.
amarillos,
Rojos.
rojos,
Rosados.
rosados,
Morados.
morados,
Negros.
negros,
Grises.
grises. But notice it's ES. Gris ends in an S. That's not an O, not an O, not an O. I have to put an ES on the end. I'm just making it plural. I don't need to worry about masculine or feminine with a word like grises. Masculine and feminine, azules, the same. Masculine and feminine, verdes, the same. Masculine and feminine, grises, the same. Yay.
Blancos.
Blancos, I just slap on an S. Okay.
Truco número 2. Atención al femenino.
Now we're going to take a look at feminine forms.
Los colores con la O tienen género femenino.
Colors that end in the letter O will need to go into a feminine form if they're talking about a feminine noun, a feminine thing or person. So we're getting rid of all the ones that don't end in O.
Anaranjado. Anaranjada.
There's a feminine form. Flip the O to an A. Anaranjada.
Amarillo.
Amarillo.
Amarilla.
Amarilla. Flip the
Rojo.
O to an A.
Roja.
Roja.
Rosado.
Rosado.
Rosada.
Rosada.
Morado.
Morado.
Morada.
Morada.
Negro.
Negro.
Negra.
Negra. We take away gris because it doesn't end in O.
Blanco.
Blanco.
Blanca.
Blanca. Okay. So we're applying this to colors, but this same rule is going to hold true for all descriptions, all adjectives. Words like big, little, tired, heavy, fast, slow. Anything that describes a thing is an adjective. So we're using colors as our vehicle for practicing this
Truco número
first.
3. También existe el plural femenino.
Okay, so if we've got a plural for, if we need to make, if we're talking about a noun, a thing that is a feminine, but a plural feminine thing, we have to change those to plural as well. So they become this.
Anaranjadas.
Anaranjadas,
Amarillas.
amarillas,
Rojas.
rojas,
Rosadas.
rosadas,
Moradas.
moradas,
Negras.
negras,
Blancas.
blancas.
Vamos a practicar.
Okay, we're going to practice. We're going to see what happens.
¿Qué colores?
¿Qué color es? What color is it?
Atención al femenino y al plural.
And we're looking at
Rojo.
rojo if it's masculine, right? Out, just like the bathrooms, we put a little skirt on it.
Roja.
Roja. Oh, and now, instead of just roja, I've got more than one, so it's
Rojas.
rojas. Bien.
Rojas.
Okay, just one masculine,
Azul.
azul, but notice doesn't end in O.
Azul.
Feminine will still be azul because the last letter of azul is not an O. So I don't need to worry about making it feminine. It just stays the same. Yay.
Azules.
Azules, I just make it plural. ES on the end.
Azules.
Same thing. Azules, just make it plural. Amarillo is the base word. Amarillo, yellow, amarillo. But if I've got more than one,
Amarillos.
amarillos. If I've got a feminine form of amarillo, it becomes amarilla.
Amarilla.
Just one, amarilla, with an A at the end. Verde. Verde doesn't end in an O, so I use verde for masculine things. I use verde for feminine things. No hay diferencia, no difference. Verde and verde, all the
Verde.
same. Green. But plural, I need to say it's
Verdes.
plural. Verdes.
Anaranjado.
Anaranjado. That's the hard one to pronounce. Orange.
Anaranjada.
Anaranjada.
Grises.
Grises. Gray.
Gris.
Gris. Only one. Feminine, more than one.
Grises.
Grises. Gris ends in an S. I don't need to make it feminine. It already is.
Negros.
Negros.
Negra.
The feminine form, negra.
Blanca.
Blanca. More than one, it becomes
Blancas.
blancas.
Morada.
Morada.
Morados.
Morados. More than one. Brown.
Marrones.
Marrones. And by the way, there is, we'll talk next week. There's always a big fight between different countries about which word they use for brown, but they do. But this is one word for brown. There's another one. I'll show you what it is next week. Marrones.
Marrón.
Marron, same thing as feminine as it is masculine because marron does not end in an O. Marron is already in the right form for feminine and masculine. I just have to worry about, is it marron one or marrones more than one? Bien? Okay. Y rosada.
Rosada. Rosadas.
Rosadas. More than one. Rosadas. Feminine and plural. Okay. And I'll send you the link to that so you can watch it more than once because that's really necessary. I want you next week to bring an item on screen and we'll talk about what color that item is. And we're just going to preface it with there is, this thing exists. Hay una taza gris. There's a gray cup. Hay una taza gris. You can bring a sweater, a shirt, a t-shirt, a pair of pants, a bunch of pencils sitting on your desk, any item. I get to guess what we call the item. Okay. But something with a color. I'm going to say, there is this thing, and it's a certain color, okay? Hay una taza gris. Hay una taza gris. There is a cup gray. Oh, that's weird. They won't say gray cup. Hay una taza gris. There is a cup gray. Okay? So bring the item. Don't worry about, I don't know what the name of this thing is. I'm here to help with that. Okay, bien? But bring something with a color to class and we'll play with that next week as well as our as well as our numbers. I would say with your book, just review some items in chapter 7 about descriptions. But please, when you look at chapter 7 in your book, ignore the comparisons, and I'll tell you which page numbers. Ignore page 92 through 96. Yeah, through 96. Ignore the stuff that talks about comparisons because that's too hard. But we're going to play with a lot of descriptions and numbers. And we'll show you a lot of things on screen to show you how these hang together. And we're going to be combining these with what we have with tener, or what is out there with hay, and pull some sentences together to describe items next week. ¿Está bien? We good? Bien, perfecto. Excelente. Eso es todo. Any questions before we leave today?
I had a question. I
Sí.
just want to make sure I got this. It seems so weird. So the adjective has to match the noun for gender, but also if it's plural, the adjective is plural. So
That's
in
right.
English, it would be like 2 blues cars. So the adjective is also okay. So it seems.
Let me show you how that will sound. I'm going to show you on a share screen how that will sound. Okay. Let's say I have 3 t-shirts. I've got 3 blue t-shirts. Okay. I have. Tengo. Here's the I have. Now I'm going to give a number. 3. Now I'm going to tell t-shirts. T-shirts is the word camiseta. And camiseta, if there are 3 of them, I've got to make that plural. Okay. Tengo 3 camisetas. Tengo 3 camisetas. I've got 3 t-shirts. But now I want to say I've got 3 blue t-shirts. What we have to do is we're going to take this word azul, blue, and azul has to look at that word camisetas. Camisetas is more than one. So I just need to make it azules, blue. But let's change the color. Azul is this is too easy because azul ends in an L. I don't need to worry about matching it up in a feminine form. So let's make it a harder color. Tengo 3 camisetas. I can't just say rojo. I need to morph rojo into something that looks at camiseta, an feminine word, and make it more than one. So it becomes tengo 3 camisetas rojas. Literally, I have 3 t-shirts reds.
Okay.
We never say reds. Nobody going to say reds in English, right? That sounds weird, but they've got to have rojas because it's looking at the word camisetas. They're like puzzle pieces. They all have to hang together and be in a form that they all play nice and they all match up in the same kind of form. And that means if it's feminine and it's more than one, I got to show with the description that it's feminine and it's more than one. Okay.
Okay.
Does that make a little bit more sense now to you?
Yeah. Thanks. That does make sense. It just seems strange.
It is strange. You are right to think it seems. It is strange to us. It is very strange to us, but this is the way their language system works. Okay, so yeah, and that's why you're gonna practice seeing lots of examples next week. Yeah, sí, bien.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, está bien. Good to go. Good to go. Okay. And I'll send out in the email all the description of all you need to do to prep for the week. And we'll be all set to come in and practice a lot with numbers and some more with colors. Bien? Excelente.